What's up? Okay, so hi. We're live, right? Yeah, we're live. Okay, what's up? I'm MNDR. I am artist, writer, and producer, and this is the Diamonds Livestream on Splice. Thanks for waiting. We were just getting everything set up, and today on this live stream, we have the iconic Pom Pom.
Hello. Thank you.
Okay, so let me just give you a little bit of intro, because what's really weird is Pom Pom and I've only met each other over Zooms. We were COVID buddies, I think.
Yes.
On different Zoom things.
Yeah.
Or right before Zoom.
Right.
But this is our first IRL, which is
This
really,
is it. This is the first IRL, yeah.
Of course,
Wild.
Huge fan, in the non-IRL space of yours.
You as well. I am of yours as well.
But just to give our Splice Diamonds audience some context, if you don't already know who this legend is, Pom Pom is a absolute working at the highest level music producer, songwriter, and I want to tuck in engineer in there as well.
Sure.
Okay.
You can throw it in there.
I feel like we diminish that, and I feel like you need to highlight that a little bit more. So she has worked on one of my favorite songs in the last couple of years, which is Door Jars Bump. That is one of your records that you produced. Also MXM Tune, Lynn Lapid's viral hit in my mind. I love Lynn Lapid. She is amazing. Noah Kahan. You had your first #1 with the Unlikely Candidates for their song Novocaine. You produced that record. Yes. And Royal and the Serpent, honestly, her CV goes on and on, but I think, of note, you have produced one of the most legendary artists in the last 20, 25 years. A song called Conversations in the Dark, which is John Legend. Ow! So, and that went #1 on iTunes and was a huge sync on This Is Us, which I think really drove that song.
For sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I just want to give the whole audience some backstory about you, okay?
Go for it.
And I want you to just jump in when it's when you're like, no, that's fake news. Okay. So, what I understand digging into your past is that you were at a family friend's house and you're 9 years old and there's an electric guitar there, and this sort of
You've done your research.
Piqued your curiosity, yes, into popular music. And at that time you were studying, you were taking piano lessons and doing, learning classic pedagogy and classical music, right? And then this electric guitar wove its way into your brain, and then that inspired you to let's be in bands. You're in high school, I want to be in bands. Were you in any bands in high school?
Oh yeah, I was in a bunch of bands.
What were the band's names? I need names right now.
We had we always had random names. One of them was called Minus Sean, because there was this kid named Sean in the band, and then we kicked him out. There was another one called Facing Penny, because everyone was scared of my mom, and we would have band practice.
And her name is Penny?
Yeah.
Love that.
We would have band practice at our house. We always had a mix of changing random names. I was playing guitar.
You were playing guitar?
I was playing guitar, yeah.
I feel like we were just hanging out and you're like, yeah, I'm not a very good guitar player. I feel like you're just you're kind of wild Midwest. You're from Ohio.
Right, from Ohio, Cincinnati.
We're both Midwesterners,
right.
So we tend to have high skill sets, but not big egos. I feel like that's a Midwestern trait, would you say?
Yeah, I feel like I liked growing up in the Midwest because, people are humble and friendly there, and it was a great place to grow up.
Get the work done.
Yeah.
Sort of work ethic,
For
I
sure.
feel like. But what kind of style? I want to know the style of these bands.
Yeah.
And then we're going to move on from your band career.
I mean, we did the classic rock staples that every high school band does.
Do it.
Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah.
All Along the Watchtower.
Dude, you have to really play guitar for that.
I was definitely... I feel like now I produce so much, I don't really play as much guitar, but at the time I was very into guitar. Yeah.
Yeah,
but then we did like jam band stuff, like OAR, and I mean I guess that's not jam band, but more like bandy.
Yeah.
Who I eventually got to work with, and they're amazing.
That is fucking great. We can swear.
Oh, we can. Okay, great.
Yeah, you can swear.
Dave Matthews Band. We did some of that. Yeah.
Amazing.
But yeah.
Okay, so after you smashed it in your high school bands, low-key playing like Stairway to Heaven, I'm just kind of a good guitar player. Yeah, you're good. Okay. You went to Northwestern, Chicago.
Yes, Chicago.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you studied music there.
Yeah.
Tell me about that, because from what I know of my friends who went to the school, it was more classical background, It
definitely is, yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely is, but there was like a small major called music technology, which was like more the audio engineering side of things.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of like tucked in the music school, which was definitely way more classical.
Yes.
And so I kind of just stuck my way in there. And there was only like 5 of us. There was a professor there who's still there today, this guy Chris Mercer, who's amazing. And so I studied
That's amazing.
Yeah, audio under him, and then worked in a studio when I was in Chicago.
In the Chicago area?
In the Chicago area.
I just recently worked in.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Love Chicago.
Yeah. What studio were you working out
It
of?
was called Slang Music Group.
Okay.
Yeah. So I worked for a producer named Vince Lawrence there.
Okay.
And yeah, that was like my first experience.
Was it live bands, or were you working on track? Like,
It was like very track-based artists, definitely more pop music. And then some like film and TV stuff.
Amazing.
But
were
not,
you
not so much
engineering,
just engineering, cutting vocals, melodyning. I mean, we talked about melodyne.
Yeah, we got deep into the dime
for sure.
earlier. That's amazing. Yeah, because in Chicago you would get like such a vast amount of experience, because there's obviously a lot of hip hop happening there, R&B, but also a lot of bands.
Oh, so many bands. Yeah.
Tons of band recording. So
Fall Out Boy, Panic at the Disco.
Yeah,
those had
huge.
kind of like just happened a couple years before.
Yep.
So that there were all these bands that kind of spawned out of that, and also house music.
Well,
You can't mention Chicago without.
I know you can't. I mean,
yeah.
Don't even get me started on how much.
yeah,
As a
it's
Midwesterner,
such a cool city.
Chicago is the best. It was
Yeah.
so great to work out there this year. It was amazing. I literally love it there.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Okay, but I don't want to just stick into your past, but I do need to say this. Like, you finish school, you go to New York, am I right?
Yes.
Okay. And then we've met actually, we haven't met each other, but we have, because Kellen worked at one of the greatest studios. It is no longer a studio anymore.
Right.
And in New York City, which is like breaks my heart. But it's where I got my first huge opportunity with Mark Ronson. It's at Downtown Studios. It was in Soho. And Zach Hancock, who's a great friend of mine and my project, built the studios there, and you worked at Downtown Studios during its heyday.
I did, yeah. It was amazing.
Yeah, like, can you tell that experience? Like, and like apprentice, I mean, you weren't an apprentice, but working under someone like Zach, who's just an amazing engineer.
Amazing, yeah. I think I just hit him up, like found his email on the internet somewhere, the website, sent in my resume, and they were looking for people, and he was like, we need an extra hand around here, so come on through. So I got hired there. First as just kind of like an assistant, running errands, getting coffee for people. And it was kind of like my first foray into the music scene in New York. And it was an amazing time for music in New York, especially at Downtown, which we talked about.
And what years was this?
Maybe like 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
So like Santa Gold was like popping off then, and all the Fool's Gold stuff was happening at that time. And then at Downtown, Benny Blanco was living in New York, and he would come in there a lot and was like working with Maroon 5. And Adele came in one day, and Sting, and all these super high-level artists and producers, Stargate. So that was kind of like my first experience, seeing any of that happen. And it was amazing. And I got to learn from some incredible engineers, Zach being one of them.
Zach, amazing.
They had an API console in one room, a Neve console in the other room. Another engineer, Rich.
Yes.
He's amazing.
Yes, Rich.
Yeah. So it was like such a special experience. Yeah.
Yeah, so this studio is just kind of a hub for like the cutting edge music coming out of New York, because downtown is also at that time a label. It still is a label, but it was independent label, publisher, and had these studios, and you just got exposed to like some of the greatest artists of that era.
Oh, for sure.
Mark Ronson, like it just
he was there.
Yeah, he kind of just that's where he worked out of, really, when in that era of his. That's where.
And you were there.
Yeah. I don't know if I was
definitely
edge, but
crossed paths. Yeah.
Yeah. So
which is wild.
That's where I collaborated with Mark Ronson for the first time. So that's amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Which is so cool.
Yeah.
So it goes to show you, like, even if you're getting coffee, like, the exposure at studios and who you're meeting really can build your network. And
for
really
sure.
can, if you're watching and learning at all times, I'm sure you learned a lot.
Yeah.
Technical
so
and how a room is run.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay, but let's move into where we are right now. And I always like to throw this one out. What are you listening to right now? Or do you listen?
Question.
Do you ever find that you don't listen? That's my problem.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes when you're working on so much music, you don't listen to enough music.
I don't listen to music anymore.
Right. I still try to really listen to as much music as possible, because I feel like for me, you are what you eat. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Kind of thing. It's like you are what you listen to. So it definitely informs the music you're making. I obviously love Dora and still listen to so much of her music.
Dora is so dope.
There's another artist, Sam Austin.
So cool.
So cool.
Okay,
yeah.
I just
She's the
wanted to,
coolest, nicest, most talented person.
And in New York, this is because
that was in New York. Yeah.
So everyone, Kellen, I would say, you just moved to Los Angeles. I'm sure you moved.
Right, 6 months ago.
Yeah, I'm sure you've worked in Nashville and LA before, but you're New York based.
I was New York based,
okay.
until 6 months ago.
Yeah. Anyways, continue. So,
Sam Austin's, he's also an amazing artist, super cool, kind of more alternative. Who else? It's a really good question.
I know, and we're getting some questions. We do get audience questions.
Okay, cool.
And I kind of want to address. We kind of it goes all over the place. Gets really ADHD in here.
No worries.
It's super fun. What? Wait, they actually were Googling someone's. Wait, what? Buffalo on the Beat. Question: does she ever? What? What is that? I can't read it. Commute to work in Jersey? Do you ever work in Jersey? Have you worked in Jersey?
I lived in Jersey.
Yes.
I lived in Jersey City.
Yes.
For a year.
Yes.
So, and I commuted everywhere. When you live in Jersey City.
Were you on the LIR then?
No,
the Jersey. What?
Yeah, the PATH.
The PATH
train.
The
PATH train, yeah. I love Jersey City, though. But I was always commuting into the city from Jersey City.
Okay, one last question from Bob. This is a good question. I just want to address this. Okay, question for you, Pom Pom.
Yeah.
Kellen. I've heard that if you're producing music based on what you're hearing today, you're going to be 6 to 12 months behind what's considered popular at the time. Would you agree with that?
It depends, I think, on what you're listening to. Yes, I would agree with that in some ways, but I think that's more if you're following radio trends.
Yeah.
Then I think, yes, you will be maybe a little bit behind sonically if that's what you're shooting for. But that's why I think it's so important to be looking for new music, the next thing, to catch those sonics 6 months before they really, hit, or a year before they really hit the mainstream. I listen to so many artists who people have never heard of just for that very reason, to try and just stay ahead of the curve a little bit. So I think if you're following just kind of the charts and mainstream music for sonics, you maybe will be a little bit behind trend-wise, but that's why I think you got to just keep digging deep and finding the newest and next wave of stuff before everybody else does. Yeah.
Because you could be using snaps as snares, and that's over. It's been done.
Is it?
I don't know.
Is it over?
I just remember. I remember there's this Twitter account called Shitty A&R Guy.
Oh my God, I love that account.
It's good. X, whatever it is, why is it? Yeah, whatever. Shitty A&R Guy is really amazing if you want to laugh at stuff.
So good.
But okay, so that brings me to this, yes, I think you're totally right. You have to be a digger. You have to listen. Right? So, but you're a song person, and to get a song with John Legend is huge. And that's like one thing I know you talk about it a lot because it's such a huge record for that artist, and you as a producer, it's just like iconic. So Conversations in the Dark.
Yes.
I wouldn't say a trend following record. Like speak to that experience.
Yeah.
I feel like great songs speak, right? And that's one of them.
That was definitely one where it was just a really great song.
Yes.
And the game with that is just, we can curse, right?
You can just
don't fuck it up. Like a song like that, like I feel like because it's so great, his voice is so great, it's more piano based, you can kind of leave it like more classic and organic sounding. It doesn't need to be this trendy sounding song. So that was kind of producing that. I produced it with Greg Wattenberg.
Wow.
And we wrote it with Jesse Fink, and who's an amazing songwriter, producer, and Chance Pena.
I do not know Chance.
An amazing artist and writer.
Was that a finished demo that you presented to John, or did John?
It was a demo that we presented to him, and then he came in and like put his spin on it and rewrote a bunch of the parts and kind of like made it his own. Yeah. Okay,
so that's an amazing process. That like really like Diamonds audience members like you work with, when you're working as a producer and songwriter, like you're not always in with just artists.
Right.
And this is a great example of like a great, perfect 100% song will find its way and inspire someone like John Legend.
Definitely.
Who obviously can put his own like thumbprint on it, but the inspiration was there for him.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, so.
Yeah, great songs find a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that Jurassic Park quote, life finds a way.
Life finds a way.
Great songs find a way. I still for sure 100% believe in that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that song, like, did you know in the studio, were you like, oh my God, this is big, like, this is amazing? Was it a magical experience, or was it like, oh yeah, we wrote a cool song?
I mean, yes and no. Like, we all like really liked the song and thought it was really good, but I don't think any of us were like, I don't think you ever expect.
Yeah.
We definitely loved the song and thought it was really good. And I have to say, Greg was the one that was like, this is really good. I'm going to send this to John. I think it'd be great for him. He kind of like quarterbacked that whole situation for sure.
Yeah, because that was my next question. How do you get a great song to John Legend?
Greg had a relationship with him already and had worked with him. And yeah, we thought it was great, but like, I always just try and like focus on making something really good, feeling good about it, and then just kind of leaving it there mentally.
Yes. In the moment you're in.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't ever think like this is gonna be, this person's next. I mean, you hope, but I just always try and just move on to the next thing and the next thing, and because you never know. You really never know. There's songs where I have had that feeling in the room. This is amazing. This is gonna be like, And then a lot of times those ones don't pan out, the way you think they will. And the ones that maybe you're not as focused on do. It's just so, I mean, I'm sure you've had similar experiences. It's just so subjective and random and yeah.
All the time. I just had a song that was cut that I wrote 13 years ago at Downtown, actually.
No way. Wow.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to say who cut it?
No.
Okay.
Not yet. But literally, I was like, wow.
Well,
but it says, if the song is good.
For sure. I heard a rumor, or maybe I heard this in an interview with her, but that Beautiful by Christina Aguilera, Linda Perry wrote that 10 years before Christina cut it. Yeah. So, yeah, it happens all the time.
Talk about an icon.
I mean, Conversations in the Dark was made 2 years before John did it, I think. Yeah.
It was?
Yeah.
Wow, so you were definitely had moved on and you were like, yeah, cool.
For sure, I
mean, you made that at that moment and then the next. And then I'm sure you were like, oh my God, John Legend.
No, it was amazing. I mean, I've been such a fan of his for
just like
so long, and and he was amazing to work with, just so talented. And
so tell me, like, who recorded his vocals? Does he have his own engineer? Did you?
He has an engineer, but we went to LA to cut the vocals with him. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And were you in the room just giving direction?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I was with Greg. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of times, like artists have their own vocal
Right.
engineers. That's very common, and they
For
like
sure.
to work with them. And
But to be honest, we did like barely any takes because he's
he's-
so good, and he's been just doing it at such a high level for so long that you could just tell when someone is just so seasoned. Like I think we did like a few takes per
my
section,
God.
and then one ad lib take. That was it, and we used like the whole.
it was like an hour and a half, and you're like,
Yeah, that was it, and
Bye.
it was great. Yeah, it was. I don't want to say it was easy, but like he,
that's
when you're working with someone like that, it really just makes the job so fun and also just a lot like easier. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
for
definitely
sure.
not an MNDR vocal section. It's a session. It's a bit longer. A little bit more work in that. A little bit more sweat. Gotta get it really in there. Gotta really whip out those Melodyne skills.
Melodyne, yeah.
Okay. So, I just kind of really want to touch just, for our audience to get an idea, like, what do you think was a moment where you felt like in the music industry? Like, what was that journey? Like, you're at Downtown Records. Like, how did you get from being an assistant to the engineer to the studio? Means you're getting coffee, you're getting mic cables, you're getting lunch, you're
Right.
fucking whatever, to now I'm a creative in the music industry. Like,
That's a good question. I need to rethink my whole
they just like
history. Yeah. So I was
they blow you up here.
funnily enough, we got to go back to Chicago.
Yes.
So
always.
when I was in Chicago, I learned how to like cut vocals there and Melodyne. The producer there, he was like, I need you to Melodyne all my vocals. Like, I need you to Melodyne all my shit. So
Listen to this.
I learned how to
There's a
do that,
way
and I got
in.
really good at that.
Say that.
And
Can you say that one more time? Because
Melodyne. Learn how to Melodyne and edit vocals. But yeah, so then when I moved to New York and I was working at Downtown, I hit up a bunch of producers on like Facebook or something, asking if I could like help them with vocals or Melodyne. And one of them hit me back, this guy, Sterling Fox, who's an amazing songwriter, producer.
I've worked with Sterling.
Really?
Yes.
He's the best.
So Sterling did video
Amazing.
games. Lana Del
Yeah.
Rey. That was one of his first big ones.
Stereo
Yeah.
Hearts.
God, no way. I didn't know
yeah.
you worked with Sterling.
Yeah,
Cool.
so I hit him up, and he responded, and he was like, yeah, I do need some help with Melodyning, and that's how we got connected. And then I just started, like, sending him tracks and stuff. And, yeah, he was like, yeah, but after, like, a year or two of kind of just
I didn't
helping
know
among two
Sterling is part of your.
records. Yeah, Sterling Fox.
Wow. That is blowing my
Brandon
mind.
Laurie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Brandon.
When did you work with him?
Over 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
For Kylie Minogue, one of Kylie Minogue's albums.
Oh, sick. Which
Yeah.
one?
Not that
Ba-dum.
one. Wish though.
Song of the Summer. Low key, the song of the summer.
I know.
Yeah,
Icon.
Yeah.
Love it. Love you, Kylie. Kiss Me. That
Oh,
album.
sick. Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
We didn't get a song in there together, but we worked
You know what album
with
of hers I loved?
Kylie on that one.
What was the one with like Wow? And it was like super electro.
Yes. Slow is on that one too.
Yeah, I think
yes.
so, yeah.
God, I love Slow. I don't know.
That was a good
You
one.
stumped me. That's a
Yeah,
really good album
yeah.
though.
But yeah, so that's how, and then he started like setting up sessions for me and like kind of helping me out with that. And that's kind of how I got into the session game in New York, really, and started working with artists and
Wow.
and producers and writers and yeah.
What studio did you work out of then?
I worked out of my spot in Jersey City. Yeah, home studio.
Jersey
situation.
City. So
Yeah.
artists would come to Jersey on the
Yeah,
path.
yeah.
Dope. Love it.
Or like we'd use, a studio,
Sure.
yeah, that they had or their publisher had or yeah.
Wow.
So the sessions were kind of all over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were
Yeah, for
traveling, so you had your if you were out of your studio, you had your laptop set up, you had your workflow
Yeah.
tapped out,
Right.
I'm sure, because
Right,
if you're
exactly.
moving around.
Yeah.
But just for a lot of questions we get asked is how do you get into being a music creative? And it's honestly finding that edge in a room, being useful, right, as a producer, and it'll kind of blow your mind because vocals are generally considered, like, up from a label perspective, the most important part of the record.
Yeah.
And it is the most tedious amount of work for the producer. And I'm just gonna blow up this gate. I don't care if you are Adele, everyone's vocals get melodined. That is the sound of today. Love you. Like, love all you. So, refining that skill set, being able to time vocals, melodyne, like, so, you know, and sometimes people want a melodyne sound, or they want a very, like, transparent sound. So understanding what that means to tune without it sounding like
for
it's been tuned.
Without it sounding overtuned.
Yeah, because... Yeah. Although I'm positive John Legend probably didn't need any melodyne.
No, he didn't. I don't think we did any, actually.
Yeah, there are... And Lynn Lapid doesn't either.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
No, yeah. We both have worked with Lynn.
She's, like, pitch perfect, yeah.
Yeah, actually, I've never tuned Lynn's vocals. Yeah.
I don't think I have either.
Yeah. There are people that are total freaks in the best way possible. Yeah. But I am not one of them.
Yeah, Lynn is amazing.
But, like, just know that. Like, that's, like... That can get you in.
For sure.
Because Sterling was really, I mean, he's an amazing producer, and at that moment, he'd had some really big records, and you were a part of his team, and he was able to, like, help you grow.
For sure, yeah. I think, like, I know that's something that I spend so much time on, vocals, melodyning, comping them, timing them up, and it's super labor-intensive and time-consuming. Mm-hmm. So, to your point, like, I'm always looking for someone to, like, help with that as well. To your point, like, it's a great place to start and to get your chops as a producer, and also, I don't know, get in the studio and meet people, and Yeah,
and it's also, like, honestly a skill set that you can, if you're really good at it, you can start getting paid right away.
For sure.
And not only in the apprentice role.
Right.
So that's, like, my number one thing to tell people, because then you get as busy because you're, like, a huge record producer, and you don't have time to do the vocals. You need someone.
Right, exactly. Because you're in sessions, you're finishing productions, you're doing meetings. Yeah, you don't have as much time to spend, 5 or 6 hours or more on a vocal. And that's
or more.
Sometimes, and it's not because, most of the people you're working with are amazing singers, but to get everything just super tight and clean to the level that it needs to be on the radio or be, out in the world, especially for a big name artist, you have to put in, it's hours, it's hours. Yeah.
It's highly detailed.
Yeah.
So.
And you're right, the labels definitely, and I think bigger artists really care about the vocal,
Yes, because it's the most important and it's the most time consuming.
Right, yeah, for sure.
And you can really find your edge there. You really can.
Definitely.
Your career, obviously, that was your way you edged in.
Yeah, 100%.
And then you were ready to go.
Yeah.
Once it started happening. What was your first cut as a producer?
Halfway to Heaven by Panama Wedding.
I don't know
They were on Glass Note? Like, indie pop band. They were on Glass Note. Yeah.
Did you record live band with it, or was it track?
It was all, like, tracked, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, guitars and stuff. Yeah, with Peter, who's the lead singer, and kind of, like, did all the writing and music and stuff.
Yeah.
Was a lot of synths, vocoder. He had kind of this, like, Peter Gabriel, Phil Collins vibe to him.
Amazing.
And, like, tone. So we had, like, vocoder in there. I think we used, like, the Eventide one.
Yep.
And then lots of synths and... Yeah, guitars, but then it was like programmed drums and stuff. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and then after that, I did a song for a voice finalist.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Which
so
voice
that was like my
artist?
second cut.
That's so random.
This artist, Chris Jameson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember when that like.
Yeah. He was Adam's, I think, finalist.
Okay.
In one of the earlier seasons. Yeah.
That's so cool. So you're working on, like, Glass Note Records, like, was responsible for Phoenix and, like, some of the greatest, like, indie bands are no longer, I don't think Glass Note's a label anymore.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I don't think so. Maybe?
They also had Mumford & Sons?
Yeah, Mumford & Sons, like, really big indie label, all the way to, like, the Voice.
Childish Gambino.
Yeah, I mean, like, Holy
artists.
Ghost, maybe?
I think so. Or Holy Child.
Holy Child. So... you're definitely, like, as a producer, that's, like, a huge skill set change.
Yeah.
From a, like, cool indie synth band,
right.
Peter Gabriel, to voice guy, to, finalist on The Voice? Like,
Yeah.
how do you shift gears like that? Did you have a songwriter in the room?
So I didn't produce that one.
Oh, you
I
didn't?
actually just wrote that one. Yeah.
What?
This amazing producer named Elof, Swedish guy. I don't know if you know
Yeah, I know
him.
Elof.
So
Yes.
he sent me and my friend Alex, who's a crazy good R&B writer, a track, and we wrote the top line to it, and then it got sent to the Voice team because they were looking for songs for their finalists, and I think Chris and Adam like loved that one and they chose it. Yeah.
Okay, so as a songwriter, when you're just in the songwriting role, like, what's your strength in there? Like, are you a melody person? Are you lyric? Are you both?
Yeah.
I imagine you're everything.
I mean, I definitely like to work with a writer. I feel like more like big picture, maybe like concept or like melodic structure.
Yeah.
And like if the artist like needs help with lyrics and stuff, I can kind of like tap in there.
What?
But that one, I think I was definitely more helping out on the lyric side because Alex is like an amazing R&B singer and writer, and those melodies, like really have to like. I don't sing at all, and you really have to like know that those riffs and ad libs.
Yes.
So I was kind of more helping out on the lyric side for that one. Yeah, but I kind of just jump in like wherever I see maybe people need help or yeah.
You know, and that like is another like, I mean, smash a gate right now that it's like I would say like 90% when I'm like working in a room, my experience is like lyric melody, and the music part is like all the feeling and all the vibe, and like people are singing melodies, but like the lyric is like where starts to get, you gotta wipe the sweat a little bit.
Oh, for sure.
And there are artists and writers that come in with an idea and they write the song in your face. Like they're inspired by the lyric. That's not the norm. So like it's amazing that you're obviously incredible at lyric writing, because I feel like that you really become a utility in a room if you can contribute to lyric.
Right.
You know?
Right. I think that's helpful for artists, and also just kind of having a general understanding of melody and chorus melody and what can kind of like give it a lift.
Yes.
But I also been so lucky to work with like incredible songwriters.
Okay, who have you worked with on the songwriting side?
I work with so many people. I work with this writer, Jesse Fink, a lot, who's amazing. Who else? There's a writer, Lowell, who's awesome.
Yeah, Lowell is holy cow. Yeah.
Who else? So many people I'm like blanking right now. Simon Wilcox, amazing songwriter.
Icon. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. So lucky, to have like amazing, talented people in the room as well. Yeah, because it really takes a village, I feel like. It really takes a village to get something from nothing, or just the seed of an idea to like a fully flushed out, developed production, song, vocal, So I think another thing too, like going back to kind of what we were talking about and developing your vocal production chops also is just finding collaborators that you click with is so important. Yeah.
This is when I was like researching you and learning all about like your creative process. You said something that really resonated with me and I think like in general, speaking to the cameras and the audience, I think the non-male creative in the room, like, we know there's an inequity we know what the numbers are, right? Okay, we know that. And I think sometimes there's a pressure to feel like we have to produce it and play everything and engineer it and all these things. And really, all the producers working at super high levels have teams. And it's like, we were talking before this stream about like, we actually were talking about Lynn Lapid, and I can play guitar, but no. And so I was saying, this style of music, I don't feel as comfortable producing in it, but I bring in a collaborator. And that's really being a producer, is knowing like, here are the strengths. Your job is to also assemble the right people
for sure
to elevate the song and not make it about you. The ego shouldn't be there.
Right.
In terms of, because what we're all trying to accomplish is the greatest song, and to elevate that artist's viewpoint and perspective. And maybe you have to bring in someone to do the drums. And like, can you speak to that? You talked about that in the stream, and I was like, I haven't heard a producer talk about that in a way that's like, in the way you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like...
And what records, like, did you bring in collaborators?
So that, actually, there's this song I did with Lynn, so a friend of mine, my friend Dave, is like an incredible jazz, R&B guitar player.
Yeah.
And I play guitar, but like that's not more my style with like my guitar background. I would say it's like more alternative and like acoustic pop kind of.
Yeah.
And, you know, we kind of wanted to explore more of that vibe. And so he sent me this, like these guitar chords that were super jazzy and like changing and just really cool, chord changes and progressions. And so we took those chords and then wrote over them and then kind of like chopped them up a little bit and made an arrangement and then added drums and different sounds and it kind of went from there. But like for stuff like that, I always think about like, should I bring a person in who, you know, who's worked in this space more or like has like a different flavor or bring something new to the table for sure.
Yeah, and that's like the take a village. I feel like people, you know, new producers, like people are just getting into it. Collaborations.
Yeah, it's key.
It's key
for sure.
It's key.
Yeah,
it's very rare to find a song that was a huge smash root, whatever you want to say, that is just made by one person or two people.
Right.
And there's a reason for that. Is like more inspiration in the room, better song, in my opinion. I'm like a total like, I'm like the collaboration queen.
Yeah.
Like I can't be alone.
It's also just more fun. It's more fun, yeah.
It is.
It's more fun to make stuff with people.
That's something we were talking about too. Like your rooms, like what's the vibe? Like when you're like, what, like if I came in to work with you, like vibes.
I don't know. Like I try to keep it like pretty like light and fun and easy. Obviously we all know that we want to make the best song, like the greatest song. You know what I mean? So like I try to not put too much pressure on it. Because everybody's already putting that pressure on themselves. Right. So, and music is supposed to be fun.
Like it
That's
can
like
be
why
fun.
we started doing it.
It can be fun.
It can be.
And it actually is fun.
And it is. It's super fun.
Don't you notice of any song that you've seen success being come out?
You had fun making it.
Even if it was a sad song. You had fun.
Or you bonded in some way. Or,
yes.
Yeah. So I think making people feel comfortable is really important. Yeah, and so, you know, an artist and a writer will come in and we'll just talk for like sometimes an hour or two just about where they are, getting to know them, what kind of music they want to make. We'll listen to stuff on Spotify and then, you know, we'll kind of start to build a musical bed. I usually kind of start with that, or someone will pick up a guitar and start playing something. And then once we kind of have some chords and like a general music idea. I don't go too crazy on the production in the beginning.
No.
We like just try and write the song. Yeah.
If you
try and write the song.
You gotta keep that pace good in the studio.
Yeah. Write the song and cut a really good vocal. Because you can always take it home and then finish the production. I also think like, I don't think people want to sit there and like watch you like EQ a kick drum for 30 minutes. Do you know what I mean? That's not like fun for people. You gotta just keep it like moving,
Okay, every time. This is like key. Workflow, and I want to talk about your workflow and your process, but like having a good template, there's stuff you can prepare ahead of time, knowing where your sounds are at, but also I call it don't babysit your kids too much, which is like twiddling with knobs, knob twiddling, like knob twiddling, like, because you can do that when they leave. Right. But be careful to never send the really out demo to the artist. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Like the day of?
The day of.
Yeah.
If you haven't sometimes you'll have a weird day where production will be really, really focused and everything's sounding like really, really fucking good. And you're like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking send this off. But you can make the brutal mistake of sending the day of demo.
For sure.
And then it either bumps
depends,
everyone out, or they get the demo-itis.
Well, oh my God, the demo-itis is real. Yeah.
Man, I just had an artist get a severe case of the demo-itis. I was like, you need the cure.
Yeah.
Right now.
What is the cure to demo-itis, actually?
Don't send a shitty demo out. Make them wait.
Yeah. People get really attached to the demo now.
They get the itis.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Chrissy on YouTube, we know you love to watch a kick drum. You are one of the few that loves a good EQ. Okay, let's
Sorry, Chrissy.
Sorry, Chrissy. You're you know.
No,
I
don't disagree with you, but I don't know if everybody else does. Yeah.
You're the exception to the rule, but that's what makes you great. I want to talk about your process.
Yeah,
Give us some, what's it like? How do you go? What are you using? What DAW?
I'm in Logic. Logic is my DAW.
Is that your DAW when you're in Jersey City?
I'm in Logic. Yeah, I mean, I try and make a couple ideas before the artist comes in the room. So I'll send them a text before the session, or sometimes call them and just be like, where are you at? What are you listening to? What? I always try and get as much information.
Okay,
Let's do it. Okay. Yeah. I live here now. I try and get as much information on them musically.
Yes.
Don't want to sound like a stalker.
Not the dark web information, just
as
musical.
possible. So I know going in where we're trying to go, And sometimes every now and then they'll come in and they'll be like, I changed my mind. Something happened to me and I need to make something like this today. And that's fine. We'll start from scratch. But I at least try and have one or two ideas, track ideas, vibe ideas of that kind of reflect what they're listening to a little bit.
Yeah. And so you don't start the session like this, your internal voice going like this, oh my God, where's the panic button? I gotta get out of here.
I mean, sometimes I feel like everybody in the room at some point during the session has the panic button moment.
Every session I have the panic button. Every session there's a moment where I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I gotta get out of here.
I feel like everybody feels that way. But that is also why it's so important to develop relationships with collaborators you really like, because
and to push
you
through
immediately feel comfortable in the room. And so when I'm working with people that I've worked with a lot, I don't have that panic button as much.
Because you can depend on them.
Because you have a safety net. This person knows you. I'm just going to back you up creatively if they need to fill in the gaps, and vice versa.
Yes. So, a great writer, great producer is going to know, and you're everyone's supporting each other.
For sure.
No one's hanging you out to dry.
Yeah.
Although those sessions happen too, but there's more.
For sure, but they happen to everybody. I think that's what is important to remember.
Not everyone gets along creatively, and that's fine.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and also the creative process is so much of it is about chemistry, and sometimes you don't have the chemistry with a person that day, and
you just don't.
That's okay, You
just got peace on that.
Yeah.
Just recognize it.
Right, exactly.
It's Tinder.
It literally is Tinder.
It's a little bit of Tinder.
It's creative Tinder.
Okay, so you get a bag going, you're in Logic, you're woo, and then melodies are just flying out. Do you grab a mic and just go put these in, let's assemble, or are you let's write it in the room?
Voice note the melodies. Sometimes I always have an SM7.
Yeah, girl.
In the room.
Michael Jackson.
Yeah, it's the best mic.
Yeah.
And it's just a great mic because it's a dynamic mic. So you can just kind of have the music playing really low in the background, and people can just kind of hum the melodies over. Yeah, and there's not going to be too much bleed or anything. How
much of Final Productions are you doing with speakers on, vocals in the room? I am. It's a fucking lot of them recently.
Yeah, I mean, more and more often, I'm keeping the demo vocals that they sang on in SM7.
Yeah, which is rewind 10 years ago, you were in an isolated
Oh my
booth.
God. Everything was
isolation.
Yeah, completely isolated, soundproof booth, $3,000 microphone.
Yeah.
But you don't really need that now. I think that's a testament to how far plugins have come.
Yeah, really.
I mean, especially I use a lot of the universal audio stuff on vocals.
Yes. What's your chain? Give your chain. Smash that gate.
My chain is FabFilter. Very cute. Or Pro Q.
And what's your general setting? You cut at 100?
Yeah.
Get all the rumbles.
Depends, yeah, 100. And then for like
Rumble
resonance, the rumble doubles. And then for like resonance taming, I'll do a soothe.
Oh,
yeah.
Love a Soothe.
Soothe, so good.
The same company makes Soothe, right?
Different company.
Oh,
yeah.
it's
Oak Sound, I think.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right.
So Soothe is like, it's just fucking rips.
Yeah, it's great. I used to go into FabFilter and you know, try and tame all the little resonances that way, but it's so much better in Soothe.
Yeah, because you just go like that.
It's more dynamic, yeah, and you can mix it in.
Done.
But FabFilter is still great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll cut around like 100, 120 sometimes. And then I love the distressor compressor.
I do too.
It's so good.
Love
Yeah.
it.
It's so good.
It's so does Chrissy.
Chrissy loves it too.
The same Chrissy that likes to that loves to watch people EQ kick drums. Love you. Is it part? This is the wrong one. It's like this. Anyways, but
and then so I do that. Then I do the LA2A.
love you.
Yeah.
Very Max Martin of you.
Is it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Does he use the LA2A?
I understand that he does an 1176 and then an LA2A afterwards.
Wow.
To get and he uses that as the air, the shim, the shine.
The LA2A.
Yeah.
Huh.
Like he doesn't really he just adjusts a little bit of it.
Yeah, I have it hitting it very
Yeah.
just a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it gives it a little.
Yeah, it's great. 1176 is also great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've noticed that you can really like squash a vocal with that.
Yes.
You can like really drive the input and it's not going to sound too
grody pants.
Yeah, exactly. Not too grody pants. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a technical term.
Yeah, the grody pants song. Because, like, I don't know if you know this, like, even 15 years ago, like, today's vocal is highly compressed.
Oh, yeah.
It's like I can be talking like this and I can be shouting and it's just gonna be like the same volume, like compressed. Like it's just a flat.
Yeah.
That's why when you listen to like songs from the 70s, you're like, why can't I hear this verse?
Right.
They didn't
Seriously.
compress this.
Yeah.
I can't hear this.
The vocal's very
It sounds
compressed
really
and in your
proofy
face
and
now.
great. Everything's like real compression powered, but it makes stuff sound good. So who cares?
Yeah, sounds great.
It's the sound of today.
Sounds great.
Yeah, if you didn't do it, it would sound really fucking weird.
Yeah, it would sound different.
Yeah, it just.
What do I have after that? I'll usually try different compressors after that. I've been doing the Fairchild, also from UAD
Delicious.
after that. And then I'll do a Pultec boost at like 12K.
Look at you. Put a
And
little
then
air on that
Maggie
girl.
Q for like a little extra air, like at like 10 or 20K. Yeah, just a little air.
I want to sing. Okay, wait, we got a tight question that came in. It's actually good. Is there such a thing as happy clipping? Well, definitely not digital clipping. That's bad.
Happy clipping. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Use these.
For sure. Yeah.
Use these.
If it sounds good, it sounds good.
Yeah, who fucking cares?
The other day I was
These?
working on something and I noticed that the drums were totally clipping and squashed and ridiculous.
Yeah.
But they sounded good. So I just kept it. Yeah.
You gotta use these too. These are your most important instrument and all that. You know, I want to talk a bit about like, you know, like sample packs. I mean, we're all there's not a producer on the planet that is not using sample packs.
For sure.
And like what are you a Splice user? I mean, you don't.
100%.
Okay, yeah,
Big
we
Splice
are.
user.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, every session.
Right.
So what are some of your favorite like packs and how do you use them?
I obviously love the Oliver pack.
Power
Packs.
tools.
The drums for like pop. So good.
Fucking, it's so good.
It is really good. Yeah.
That's my favorite.
Those drums are great. Umru. Who's a sick producer. He's got a great pack.
Yeah.
The Sophie pack.
I mean.
So good.
R.I.P.
Who else? Cashmere.
Yeah. Always.
Yeah.
I use the Cashmere ones a lot.
Yeah, those are great.
What about, like, are you using loops? Like, are you using just, like, one hits or a combination of everything?
Mostly one hits.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll use a loop and, like, chop it up.
Yeah.
Or, we were talking about this earlier, I'll put it in Melodyne in polyphonic mode.
Listen to this.
And then you can go in and change the chords and the notes. But mostly, like...
Like on a bed loop, like on a chord, guitar loop, or...
Guitar, keys, yeah.
Because sometimes you'll hear
dope.
loops that are popular, like, you're like, well, this is being used a lot. And
Right,
you need to flip
for
it,
sure,
or
yeah.
you need to lift the
Right.
melody in a different way, and you
Yeah.
need continuity in the sound.
Definitely. I
Yeah.
personally try not to just put the loop in and not do anything to it.
Yeah.
Just in case someone else used it, but I feel like the melodic loops are a great starting point.
Yes.
And you can kind of change the chords, move them around, or, reverse them or distort them, just kind of like fuck it up a bit.
Yeah.
So it doesn't sound like the exact loop.
But it also,
Yeah.
like, when you're having the range of, like, oh, I'm working with a voice talent and I'm working with an indie band,
Yeah.
like, those are, like, chord beds, like, completely different,
Right.
skill sets. So I know for me, like, when I'm in, like, a bedroom pop situation, like, I feel like the inversions are much different than I
sure.
would. So I know that those, like, using those tools, using those libraries, like, really helps me be able to be, like, super flexible, because
Yeah, 100%.
a lot of styles are being thrown at you
Yeah, definitely.
constantly, you know?
And you can always, like, take the chords from the loop and maybe just change the sound completely,
Yeah.
There's ways, they're just great for getting inspiration, and there's ways to build on them and make them different. As far as drums, I obviously use, like, all those from those packs, and then I also do a lot of one-shot, like synth one-shots.
Yeah.
Throw them in the quick sampler in Logic. You get a whole new keyboard sound.
Yes, it's a
Well, no, they have quick sampler now.
Oh, they
yeah,
do?
Yeah. Yeah.
sassy.
Yeah, no, they upgraded. They have this whole system now, which they
That's
didn't
fucking
before. Yeah, so
really
it's similar to
sexy Logic.
Ableton. Yeah.
I was dating myself and letting Kellen know that I used Logic when it was an eMagic product. That was the 90s.
The 90s. The 90s were good. The 90s were good. Logic was eMagic.
It was tight.
Good music. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was a good era.
No, I
It was
love
fun.
I love
Be
Logic.
really-
And Apple's done, like, a great job, like,
Yes.
grading it, and yeah.
Yeah, and like I was lamenting that I didn't keep up my Logic skills.
Right, because you're in Ableton now. Yeah.
I produce in Ableton, and then I got to scoot over to Pro Tools. I get really, like, multi-programming, and it gets real laborious in my
Yeah.
sessions, because everyone's like, what? We have to go? And I'm like, no.
But a lot of people do that with Ableton, I feel like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
although Lanes is pretty good. If I'm actually, like, just, I'm working in another studio.
Yeah.
Because no one has Pro Tools or whatever, or I
Right.
don't want to run Pro Tools late because it sucks. so I'll use Lanes. But, oh my God, I know. How
Shots
dare you?
fired.
They're coming for you. And like you could also really date yourself, and you're like, I use Pro Tools. Everyone's like, what? What's happening in here? Someone just leaves. Okay, we're like getting to the end of the stream, but
Yeah.
one of the things I want to ask you this. No,
Ask away.
It's so good. Okay. I love your CV. I love your catalog of music that comes out, because you have worked in depth with, like, MXMT. You guys have a ton of records out in Lynn
Yeah.
Lapid.
Yeah.
But then how do you approach those, like, hey, we're gonna make, it sounds like you fucking made an album together and all those records came out, and then you're doing, like, you have one-offs, with, like,
Right.
like the Noah Kahns and, like, those big records. What's the approach? Obviously,
That's a good question.
they love you. They want to stick with you.
That's a good question. Honestly, I feel like, I don't know how it is for you, but the approach is pretty similar. Like, I always just try and think about what they want to do next, whether it's someone I've been working with a lot. In fact, I think about that more with someone I've been working with a lot. Like,
Right.
where do they want to go next? How do we keep pushing it and evolving and just building on what we've already done?
And building the world, like,
Right.
staying within the world.
Building the world, right.
Yeah.
I find that when you are working extensively with someone, you really get more of the opportunity to do that, which is really cool.
Yes.
And get weirder and, build out the world. And maybe you have songs that, like, can be more left of center and just different and kind of help support maybe more of the singles. Like, you can kind of experiment more.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think the approach for me is still pretty similar. Yeah. I do feel like sometimes with those artists, because we have the ones I've worked with more, we have such a rapport. I don't really bring in as many like starter ideas.
Yeah.
We start from scratch.
Yeah.
Because we're already like locked in and have like a workflow.
Yeah.
So I know we can kind of like experiment, and if we don't get something that day, we'll come back, you know, because we have that relationship and we'll keep going and chipping away at it until we get something that's cool. Whereas with someone I'm only with for a day or two, I prepare more starter ideas just because they're leaving town, they're booked for the rest of the month. You don't know if you're going to be able to finish the idea, so you want to, I think, prepare as much as possible so you can get as much done in a certain amount of time as possible.
Yes.
I would say that's the difference, but I try to approach it in a similar-ish way. Yeah.
Like hits. And more hits. Okay, really quick, give me your 3 off the top of your head, gate smashing, production, songwriting tips that are authentically, iconically Pom Pom. Who has the best producer name of all time? Go.
Thank you. Drum bus.
Ugh.
Drum bus.
Preach.
Yeah.
Drum motherfucking bus.
That was like a deal breaker for me.
Okay.
I use the distressor a lot.
Distressor.
Oh, no, not the distressor, the Fatso.
Oh,
Sorry,
Fatso.
yeah.
Love it. Love it, Fatso. Love it.
It's great. You can like really drive the input, squash the drums, but also there's a filter so you can kind of let all the low end through.
Delicious.
But yeah, compressing the drum bus, I think figuring out a way to like make your drums hit is so important, especially in pop music.
Even as simple as like you have all your drums tracked out, group them, and then put a fucking distressor on them.
Right.
And watch the magic come alive.
And then
or
what's
a compressor.
one? Yeah,
or a compressor.
Yeah,
it
any
doesn't,
kind of
whatever
compressor.
your stock compressor is.
Right.
It doesn't need
Yeah.
to be the distressor.
Right.
Yeah.
The Fatso.
Or the Fatso, excuse me.
Master bus. Master bus.
We
super
talked a lot about
important.
this.
Yeah.
What is that? Quick, for newbies.
The master bus is kind of the global chain that everything in your session goes to. So everything is affected by the master bus.
Right, so this isn't your master output.
Right.
It is before that.
Right, exactly.
It's the
final
step.
stage. So if you have a whole song, if you want to like make the whole song brighter, make the whole song more compressed, add a limiter.
Yes.
We're going to do that on the master bus. Limiting definitely like was a huge, game changer for me, as simple as it sounds, but I was definitely making tracks for a while without really understanding limiting, and it's kind of how you make your tracks louder, more
without
squash.
distorting
Yeah,
them.
Exactly. What else? What's another trick? Quick sampler. I mean, I love taking one shot sounds and putting them in the keyboard, and now you have this weird like instrument that no one's ever heard before. Or you take the one shot, you fuck it up, you put distortion, chorus, and like maybe a super short reverb, and then you bounce that as a new one shot. Put it in your keyboard, and then you really had a sound no one's heard before.
And then you resample the sample?
A lot of resampling, yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. Also time stretching things. You take like, I do this a lot, percussion loop, drum loop, like time stretch it.
Fucking time stretch
And you
that.
get these different rhythms from it that you wouldn't have had. Pitch it up, pitch it down.
Ups, downs.
Yeah.
Go.
Ups and downs.
Give it the ups and downs.
And a lot of like, you can really use reverb in such a creative way to color synths, guitars, drums. You just set not always, but if you set the decay just really short, throw it on there, play with the mix.
Gives it room.
Yeah, you have just like a different sound. So I use reverb just to like, as more of like an effect, to kind of change the sound of an instrument as opposed to like just adding room to something. Yeah. I'm trying to think. Any other tricks?
I feel like those are
tips?
good.
Yeah.
I love those.
Yeah.
I'm going to use those.
Okay.
Can I have them?
Of course, yeah. I think, that's all I got.
I want them. I want to work together. Can we make a hit?
Yes, let's do it. Let's work
Will
together.
you make a hit record for me, though?
I can make a record.
It has to be a hit, though.
Okay.
No
I'll
pressure.
give it my best. No pressure. No pressure whatsoever.
Only
yeah.
hits.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone. let's give a big... Okay, wait. Any more questions? I feel like someone maybe asked for a stock on the mic because it's a better pop filter. Okay, really quick. I want to know last question. What are some strange requests you've heard artists made in the studio over years?
Strange requests?
I don't know. There's probably some stuff you can't say.
Probably.
Yeah. The studio's like church. It's like confession.
I don't
you
know
can't.
If I've had any super strange requests.
I know someone they had a request of pajamas be sent to the studio.
Oh. Is that strange or is that
Silk
awesome?
Ones. I think it's awesome.
Is that an awesome request?
Literally an awesome request. Truly, silk pajamas were demanded and arrived.
Yeah. I don't think I have any strange requests.
Well, I can't wait to strange request you.
Blunt wraps? But that's not like a strange...
That's just normal.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, that's a norm.
That's probably the craziest thing. Yeah.
I'll try to do that in our hit song session.
Wear silk pajamas and request blunt wraps?
Or just request like a puppy or something.
Okay. Oh, that's good.
I need a puppy.
Let's do it. Okay, I'm gonna hold you to that.
Kitties and puppies. Okay, so that's everything. I just want everyone to really know that I put bows in my hair today for everyone on this stream. For you, Pom Pom. That's it. That's all I got. What's up? Okay, this is Splice. I am MNDR. And this is Pom Pom. Thanks for coming on this live stream.
Thanks for having me.
You can follow Pom Pom where?
She is Pom Pom on Instagram.
Okay, she is Pom Pom on Instagram.
And TikTok, I guess, but I don't really have any TikToks.
Because you're actually doing things and not making TikTok. Because you're actually producing hits and not making TikToks. Got you. Come and join. Go on Splice's Discord. There's a channel called Diamonds, and that is where we are smashing gates, talking about how records are being made, talking about our favorite records, building community for non-male creatives and all their allies. So, and I am there many times during the week, but twice a week scheduled. I'm there on Monday mornings and Friday mornings answering any questions about production, songwriting, anything you want to know. And keep updated because we have some extremely exciting news coming in the next 2 months in the style of K-pop.
Ooh.
More on that later. Bye.
Thank you.